All right, they both seem to work fine. And I just have Seattle. What did I put? Institute. Seattle Voice Institute.
Seattle Voice Academy. Did.
So this is
I'm
last
logging in.
show. This is last show of 2018.
It is.
Yeah, you should put that somewhere.
Is Dan's not in there?
No, he's making coffee.
All right. I need to ask him what the password is for. Let's see. For the website. No, I didn't, because it's always the same password. I should. Of course it is.
Why isn't it saved?
Hasn't been hacked yet.
Whoa. The whole system is just glitched.
What glitched?
The entire system.
Oh.
It all came back, but that was weird. Did you see Ralph Breaks the Internet?
No, I thought my daughter would want to see that, but she wanted to see The Grinch instead, so we saw that last night.
Oh, it's so good. It's good for adults.
Well, I know. That's why I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Instead, I saw The Grinch and slept through a third of it.
Right, because you know the story. Or was it a new one, Grinch?
I literally slept through a third of the Grinch movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the new Illumination Studios take on it. The voice of the Grinch is so hard to place. I had to watch the credits to figure it out that it was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh.
The guy is so good at American accents, it kind of blows my mind.
Oh, so it's in an animation?
Yeah.
Did your daughter like the movie?
She liked it, yeah. She liked it, she did. And I saw some familiar names in the voiceover credits, which was cool.
Yeah, I was doing that when I saw the Ralph movie. I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll recognize anyone.
Always have to look in the ADR or the looping or whatever they call it.
Well, there's so many people now on all these animated films. The credits are longer than the actual movie.
Oh yeah.
I got
Somebody was griping about the new, well, not new now, but the.
Oops, that's really pressure sensitive, isn't it?
Yeah, my coffee just made the desk move.
The new Winnie the Pooh movie. What's it called? Christopher Robin.
Yeah, I watched that on the plane.
People were.
You were really bored, weren't you?
Yeah.
People were complaining how the VO credit on that is like buried at the end of the movie, practically.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like that Jim Cummings' name wouldn't be fucking front and center. Amazing, how some studios do not. They really don't respect the VO.
Pooh Bear?
That's Jim Cummings.
So isn't he also the voice of
Yes, probably.
Tigger, and he does Tigger and.
He did Tigger too.
Yeah. Jim has done Tigger and Pooh for 30-something years since the original guy passed away.
He's also the voice of.
That was what's his name?
When I was listening to it, I was like, he sounds like.
The guy's natural speaking voice literally is Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, it really is. All right. Anything from?
It's simply wonderful playing such a character like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
Oh, who was in The Lion King? That's who.
James Earl Jones?
No, Jim Cummings was in The Lion King. I forget who he was though.
There's Jeremy Irons and And Robert Guillaume. And John. I don't see any news coming from John here.
I'm telling
You
you.
think after you told him what we're going to be doing, he's like, screw those guys?
No. Because actually, what we're going to continue the trade-off. He's gonna still do an email blast for us every week.
Yeah.
And we'll run his spot. He was getting a hell of a deal. He was getting the news and a spot.
Right.
So.
Are you okay with the shot now? I did back us away from the camera a little bit.
Oh, hold on, I'm working on the ticker. 1 second. Yeah, it's really dark. Is that?
Is it too dark now?
Yeah.
I'll fix it. I have a major amount of light I can throw on us. I just turn a dial and it gets bright.
Well, that's good like that.
I think maybe it's just with the dark shirt. There's a lot of darkness around you.
Yeah, you look like a floating head.
These are
Blue.
like navy blue.
Yeah.
So if you could find just a floor lamp or a desk lamp to put behind you,
Yeah.
that would just add a little depth. So, because it's just a lot more darkness than there is.
It's blue in the corner.
Isn't that weird how this... Oh, that's the blue wall. Okay, yeah. Let me see. She has more lights around. I'll be right back.
Nice green chairs. Mm. Oh, coffee. God, did I need some coffee. Who's sitting in this chair over here? There you go.
It's weird sometimes.
Mm.
It's Seattle Voice Academy.
No, Institute.
You just told me it was Academy.
We get down to the point where
It's Institute.
Things must be working. I thought it was Academy.
It's Institute.
It is?
Look it up on the internet.
It's Academy, man.
It says Institute on the website.
You haven't updated your website? Got it. We confirm that the website is being updated. The name was changed recently. It is definitely Academy.
Make it Academy.
All right.
Nothing from John. So I guess if we don't get anything from John,
better, worse, or the same.
Yeah, if we don't get anything from Mr. Florian, then I guess we just talk about our new format and stuff like that.
The end of the year. Do you want to do a look back over?
Well, would you like to edit all of our great stuff from the past 12 months in the next 10 minutes?
Actually, what we could do is we could ask the audience to give us some of their favorites to remind everybody to go back and check out, maybe.
Do you
Really?
list some people that you saw? Do you want to put that in the...
Well, we can talk about that. Let me see. Go back and look who was on. Did you settle the stuff with the stream?
George, have you taken the embed code or...
Yeah, it should be rocking and rolling. Is the stream actually live or no?
It is.
Let me check.
You didn't send it live, though. You have to hit go live, right?
I went and grabbed the YouTube link, I thought, but I did not. Okay, let me try that again.
I mean, it's not live for everyone else, just for us.
The last episode's still on the homepage. Let me fix it.
Oh yeah, he's the voice of Ka on Jungle Book.
Oh, bother. It was before that, it was Sterling Holloway.
Yes.
Sterling Holloway.
We could talk about some of the animated movies we've seen lately and what we think about the VO in them and all that stuff.
Jacob went to see Into the Spider-Verse yesterday, and he said it was great.
It's got like a 98% tomato rating.
Yeah.
That's pretty mind-boggling.
What's it called? Into the Spiderweb?
Into the Spider-Verse. Of course, him trying to explain to me what it was, you know, kind of a disaster.
Did you like it?
He said it was great.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, we went to see Come From Away last night at the Amundsen. It was fabulous. It was just great. Come From Away. It's a really good musical about when 7,000 people had to land in Gander, Newfoundland, because on September 11th, because that's like they have this huge airport in Newfoundland, and everybody was told land here because the U.S. airspace was closed. So suddenly, this little town of about 9,000 people had 7,000 people from all over the world descending on their little town, and.
Really?
And it was extremely well done. I mean, it was the music in it was great. There was this constant, like, New Britain beat to it, and a great band, and it was just really, really well done. I mean, it won a Tony Award, but
Come From Away.
Yeah.
Come From Away in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that show.
Dan saw it.
I've seen it 3 times. My husband worked backstage.
Really?
Yeah, it was at the Rep. It was down in LA. Well, it was in La Jolla Playhouse first.
Yeah.
It came up here, and a bunch of my friends were in it.
Yeah, it's at the Amundsen this month, so
Yes, it is. I know all the actors in it were just here in Seattle.
Oh, yeah, they were great,
Yeah.
Especially when they mentioned Tim Hortons. And I just started the way it always does at Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons, yeah. And they also sing in the dialect too, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, that was great.
That's like the second person say Tim. We were just talking about Come From Away out there.
Oh my God.
Tim, if you go to Timmy Ho's, you've got life, and
Or donuts.
Okay, so we are now streaming live on the site, so you
I'll go
should
turn
go
that off.
refresh it out there, and you'll see it.
Oh, I should probably make a.
if you go to Timmy Ho's, you've got life,
All right, cool.
All right, we're live. Yeah, it's working.
Now I'm gonna have her start watching it out there and see if it brings our internet to its knees.
Yeah.
Probably will, because she's also on Wi-Fi.
All right. Jack is okay. We got 13 viewers and 3 speakers. You, me, and Jack.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Daniel.
Which Wi-Fi network are you?
He keeps kicking me off.
Hi, how are you?
I hear people coming in.
Let me do a split screen of you and her too. Right now it's just George and her.
Right. Yeah, so during the break, the one that's coming up, where we're off until January 7th.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, prep for really, really making the show a little bit more dynamic. Like with animated, transitions and stuff like that.
Because I was fooling around with that today. And then that's why Michael's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, George was saying he wanted to look at new logos.
Right.
Michael's like, well, if you get a new logo, make a new logo, but you can use the logo.
So mics are hot. You guys are being heard in our live room.
Okay.
So just so you're cognizant of that.
All right.
That's like when people put you on speaker and don't tell other people that you're on speaker.
Yeah.
Mics are hot. You guys are being heard in our live room. So just
and there seems to be a slight delay.
Yeah, you just heard it bellowing from the other room.
All right.
I have all the doors open right now, but I'll close them all when I...
Okay. Yeah, and make sure you turn that down when you go in there, or you're going to be really confused.
Yeah.
There
seems to be a slight delay. You heard it bellowing from the other room. I have all the doors open right now.
So our mic is open right now? Mm. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful.
I guess I could put you on, you'd be on top of George then. If I use their background, their camera as the background.
Oh, I gotta plug in this computer. I'm gonna burn out before we're done here. Where is the power supply for this thing? Stole it. Ding. Alrighty.
All right, 10 minutes. 10 minutes if you can hear me, George. Mic is open.
Oh, no wonder there's nobody in the chat room except us three.
Why?
It's just me, Jack, and George in the chat room. All right. The live chat room. The interactive chat room.
Yeah, what is the site for that?
It's on our homepage.
It's pretty cool. I have
all of that. I always just monitor the
Mm.
Facebook page.
But you're missing Dan.
I'm here.
Climate. If it's warmer where you are, probably warmer and nicer.
It's about 60 degrees here. It's kind of warm in the studio, though.
Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs
So
outside.
I'm going to be in your neck of the woods in a week from now.
Oh, nice.
Back home,
because it's
back home in Los Angeles.
Christmas break, right? This looks like a makeup mirror.
This is what's called a ring light. And a ring light can be placed around, literally physically around whatever the camera is. So I have a webcam right here. So these are also sometimes called beauty lights. The reason people like them is they're extremely flattering. They don't make any shadows. They're the softest kind of light you can get. So
And
they
they're-
make you look as beautiful as possible.
And they're cool, right? So you're not going to...
Yeah, this
they
is
don't
all
put out
LED.
heat.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
any heat. Shauna just happened to have it. I
I've
was
never
like,
seen one.
let's
of
throw it
those.
up there.
But it looks like a makeup mirror,
Yeah.
except
This,
of course for the mirror.
this really helps though because the lights overhead just
Oh,
make
they
sort of a,
they make all kinds
harsh
of
light.
shadows down, right?
yeah, so this works pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made,
That's something.
And so is that a mirror?
No,
I know, it looks like a
it's
makeup mirror.
Ring light.
it's called a ring light.
I heard all about this just now, so
Mhm.
you can hear about it.
So you'd have to give the description all over again. No, I'm
It's,
not going to make
you can, whatever your camera
Oh,
you're
I
shooting
see.
with puts out a very
equally lit.
warm, flat light.
Yeah.
So that's the most flattering
Was
light
it?
you can.
Yeah, well.
Got it. Hi, Dan.
Hey, who's that?
That's Dean Moody. Do you remember me?
Oh, yeah, Dean. How you doing?
Good to see you, man, or hear you.
Yeah, well, you'll see me soon enough.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Seattle-ish.
Sort of.
Yeah, I haven't been there for a while, but the times I've been there have been, the one time I was there was great. So
Well, right now it is stereotypically dumping right now. It's ridiculous.
I listened to the weather report today on NPR, and the guy was like, tomorrow we're going to have some rain and clouds and about 50, and the next day, and the next day.
it sounds like Ireland.
That's what he said. I was like,
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember Lewis was going taking a trip to Ireland, and he's like, "Wonder what the weather's there?" I said, 45 and raining. He looks up the weather. Oh, 45 and raining.
Yeah.
you get used to it, I think.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to 60s and 70s next week.
Yeah. It's nice down there.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
I'll be back tomorrow night.
Yeah. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in Topanga.
Okay.
Up in the canyon there. Yeah. So it's secluded and quiet, but not too far.
You live in like Joni Mitchell's old house or something.
No, but my landlord's house was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh,
So that's kind of
cool.
neat.
In the canyon.
Yeah, and Frank Lloyd Wright's family still lives in the area. Like his grandson still lives in the area apparently.
That's
But that was a fun little tidbit.
yes, I like that.
Yeah. Well, enjoy
Yes.
the show, and then
All right.
when we have questions, we'll make sure everybody knows. Think
Yeah.
about what you might like to ask,
Yeah. All right.
and we'll bring you guys in either in the second part or more than likely the fourth part after the third commercial.
The tech questions specific, mostly, right?
Primarily,
Okay. All right.
it's primarily what Dan and I will be able to answer. But if you have questions about other aspects, I mean,
Mhm. All right.
you're welcome to bring them up. We just might tell you, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Cool. Thanks for coming up here.
I'm using the mixer face. It's working well.
Good. While you still have a connection.
Fortunately, it seems pretty stable.
Outstanding.
I'm going to go get and write down the Wi-Fi password for the third Wi-Fi option I have available to me.
Okay.
So I have options just in case.
Five minutes, George.
5 minutes. Microphone parts.
Oh, I like standing up better than sitting. Something with the remind myself. Are you writing your list of people?
What?
You were gonna write, well,
What?
the people that were on the show in the past year.
Oh, God, I'm trying to do 5 things at once here.
So
Well, I can remember who was on.
You can.
I think maybe George will do a better job. But... How about Harlan Hogan?
I hope he tells these people they're going to be on TV.
I guess we'll find out.
Unless they can hear me.
That's what it's about. Okay. So I do have a little bit to work with on Harlan's stuff here.
3 minutes, George.
Hey, it's Monday night. Time for VOBS, right?
Sure is.
Okay, good. That's what we want to hear. George is in Seattle, Washington, on Puget Sound with Shauna Pennington Baird and the Seattle Voiceover Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a very interesting night. We want your tech questions. You've got some tech for us tonight?
I do. A little summary of things that stand out from the last year.
Outstanding. And, of course, we want your tech questions and your questions about the Seattle Voiceover Academy and all sorts of cool stuff coming your way tonight on VoiceOver Body Shop, right now.
Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voice actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voice actor with over 30 years experience in broadcasting and recording, and a no-holds-barred myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, to bring you all the latest technology, today's voiceover superstars, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business. This is VoiceOver Body Shop.
VoiceOver Body Shop is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, remote connections made even easier. VO2GoGo.com, everything you need to be a successful voiceover artist. J. Michael Collins Demos, award-winning demo production. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voiceover website won't be a pain in the butt. And VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for VO success.
And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the South.
And I'm George Whittam in the Northwest.
All right. And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop,
or VOBS. Little kickback to the past there. Well, it was the East and the West. My, how we have progressed since then. So, George, how are things in Seattle aside from wet?
Yeah, it is damp and cool here. It's great. This is, going to become a new satellite office / home for me now. My daughter is now living in the area, and I have a very good reason to come here on a regular basis, and I'm glad. I mean, it's a really cool, progressive area with a lot going on. This is the only place right now where you can get a Lime pod. So what the heck is a Lime pod?
I was about to ask, what is a Lime pod?
So if you see a car along the street, that's a Lime car. They're Fiat 500s, by the way.
Great cars.
You can hire the car the same way you would hire a Lime scooter or a Lime bike.
Oh, sort of like yeah, okay.
Scan the QR code, the car will unlock, and you get it and you drive it.
Like a zip car.
Yeah, they are testing that here. I got a little thing that prompted my phone today asking if I wanted to try it. So a lot of new tech is tested here in Seattle for good reason. This city basically should be nicknamed Amazon Town because between Amazon and Microsoft, they pretty much own downtown Seattle, and the area is quite amazing. I'm staying in Capitol Hill, which is about 300 feet higher than downtown Seattle, and I know that because I rode a Lime bicycle down the hill, took a spin class, and rode it back up the hill again.
Just for the heck of it.
Yes. People think I was insane for attempting to climb that hill on a Lime bike. And I can see why. Because when you're going up a hill that steep, if you shift by a mistake, the pedals just slip and you almost die. But it was a beautiful experience. That's the way to experience Seattle, is by bicycle if you're a bicyclist like I am, and it's just really fun to be out here for a while.
Great. Well, stay dry. Now, tonight our guest is Shauna Pennington Baird, and she started the Seattle Voice Academy out there, and you're in their studio tonight, right?
Yeah, they were totally gracious. I ran into Shauna at the WovoCon, and it just the thought of I told her how I was going to be coming out here more often, and it'd be great to visit the studio. And now with me here on a Monday night, she was able to throw a lasso out and ring up some of her voiceover faithfuls, and they're sitting in the live studio tonight.
And they're faithfully sitting out there.
Yeah, and we'll be taking questions from them. But it's so nice to have a facility to work from that's an actual studio and really well designed. And later on, we'll do a little walk around tour with my mobile phone, and you guys will get to see some of the clever solutions that Shauna and her husband came up with when they designed this facility. It's a really great place.
Outstanding. Well, we're looking forward to that. Well, we'll get to some more tech in just a little bit, but right now it's time for
VoiceOver Body Shop presents the VOBS. Voice Over Extra News. All the information you need for a successful voiceover career.
Okay, de-stress the holiday. The holiday season we're now in is fun, joyous, and a bit hectic. Well, it's more than a bit hectic as we rush to meet all our VO deadlines and wrap up the year-end business stuff. So Ann Utterbeck, a speech specialist who focuses on voice actors and broadcasters, steps in to suggest that we slow down. Seriously, because it may in fact increase our productivity and enjoyment of the holidays. And it's not complicated. You already know what to do, but we need this reminder of 3 ways to de-stress the holiday season. Okay, number 1, exercise. Don't even think of giving up exercise now because it's one of the best stress busters, unless of course you get stressed about doing it. And you don't need to work up a sweat going crazy on the elliptical machine. Just take walks. That way, you'll combine exercise and nature. It'll free up your mind to think about gifts and people and new ideas for your businesses. We actually think more creatively when exercising. Next, take new breaks. Take a few minutes or more every day to get away from digital devices, TV, radio, and newspapers. When you look at the news or emails, the first thing in the morning, you deprive your mind of creative thought. And if the mind is stressed, the body is too. So take a break, and while there, focus on number 3. I got that right. Breathing. It sounds simple, but just concentrating on your inhalation and exhalation for a couple of minutes can have a profound effect on your body. Of course, after your break, check in at voiceoverextra.com for more on Ann's advice and for hundreds and hundreds of additionally helpful VO career articles. And happy holidays from VoiceOver Extra. And that is the news one last time. All righty. Well, one of the things that we're going to do in our new format starting January 7th is we're not going to do the news. We're going to spend more time on tech. And we're going to start at 5 o'clock, are we not? Pacific time.
And tonight we probably should have spent a little more time on tech before we went live because we're only coming on the left channel tonight. And for folks listening to the show in headphones, that could be a little annoying.
Just turn your head. That's all.
When we put the show out on the air, we will make sure that the recorded version, we get the audio remixed to the center. So for those watching it live tonight, we apologize for that misstep. We'll fix it in post, as it were.
But they can hear us, so who cares?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, we care, but I mean, that's audio. You never know what's going to happen. If people only knew what goes into creating the show. Not only that, we add this extra layer of complexity tonight because you're a couple 100 miles up north.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm doing the show. So what I'm doing from this end tonight is I'm mixing the audio feed that goes into our production system called vMix. But for whatever reason, we changed audio interfaces last week, and the new audio interface is only showing up a left input only in vMix. So that's why folks watching it live tonight are only hearing the left ear. So if during the show, our intrepid technical director, Sue, figures out how to now mix that into both channels, then you'll hear it in both ears. But it's something that was a curveball thrown at us tonight. So
yeah, I mean, we reconfigured a pile of things last week.
We did.
I mean,
and how I can now fully mix all of the sources for the show, the playback in the studio, the back mix for Zoom, everything I can do now remotely over our remote access system, and it's really cool. And it's just incredible what we can do now, the three of us, no matter where I happen to be, as long as there's good internet, and knock on wood, I'm on my second
computer there.
We can pull off the show from just about any place. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you were going to talk about some of the great tech stuff for voiceovers specifically that really came up during 2018.
Yeah, well, I guess, a tip of the hat to, first of all, because it's in front of me right now, so I'm thinking about it. Tip of the hat to Centrance for making that mixer face device a reality. I do have respect for what they are doing, and having to build a product and then using a platform like an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter to help fund it. It's such a double-edged sword for them. It's such a huge risk to ask people to invest in a product without being able to guarantee it ever making to market. And when you're a brand that's already established, selling product, asking for people to help, in essence, take donations, it's because that's what they're doing when they're using Indiegogo or Kickstarter. It's a company asking you, the public, to make a donation in faith that they will be able to follow through with this product design and everything and get it to market. And there's never a guarantee.
And how many years did they work on that?
It was the better part of 4 years since it was first announced.
Right. And
in those 4 years, the complete industrial design of the product completely changed. I mean, it has a whole different look than the original version. I mean, it went through so many iterations. And one reason it was so difficult for them was because the ability to have it be natively supported by an Apple iPad or iPhone is definitely non-trivial. It is very difficult to get your product to work natively with Apple without having to use any crazy adapters, and to be able to work at all is quite a challenge. So that was a thing that really set some delays for them. But the product, now that it's out in the wild, I'm using it tonight actually with a 416 feeding into it to do the show. The proof's in the pudding. Sound quality is great. It's got enough gain. Headphone amplifier is plenty powerful enough, has good output, and it is something that will plug into an iPad or an Android with the right cable. Runs on Windows, runs on Mac, runs on batteries. It's completely portable. You can plug it in and run it as just a standalone mixer without even plugging it into a computer if you have a need for that, maybe for doing sound for a video. So it is really quite a versatile little product for about $300. So that's been a big deal coming out this year. I think that's going to be nice for some folks. Other things that really have stood out this year in terms of product that's going to help the voiceover folks out there are basically evolving software. Audacity, again, haven't had a chance to try it yet, but Audacity did finally release proper punch and roll, which I announced last week. That's nice to see how that software, being open source, nonprofit, this is something that's made and developed and supported by the user base. They're listening to the users and adding features that voiceover people want, and that's punch and roll. So I give them props for that. So if you haven't tried it yet, download the new version. I think it's 2.2.2 and see for yourself how that feature works. In the plugin realm, Izotope is something that we're always, it always comes up when we talk about plugins. And their RX7 is their quote unquote best yet. It's got excellent mouth declicking functionality that people have come to rely on. It has a debreathing algorithm, which definitely the word is out. The word's still out as to whether it really works for everyone. And anybody that's using any debreathing plugins for their voiceover workflow, chime in, let us know. We'd love to know if it's working for you and what systems you're using. But that tool just keeps getting better and better. So Izotope's been a big deal this year with their release of RX7. On the computer audio interface side, we already mentioned the mixer face. The latest Apollo now, that's Thunderbolt 3, it's called the Arrow. That thing is, I'm not going to say it's a game changer because it's sort of an iteration of what they've already released with the Apollo Twin. But now having something that's a little more portable that will plug right into a MacBook, MacBook Pro, anything with Thunderbolt 3, now the new MacBook Air can do that, is pretty compelling because of its capabilities and what it can do while recording live with Source Connect or IPDTL and that kind of thing. And I can't forget mentioning Apple. I'm so happy Apple did release some new computers that for what we do are actually helpful. Their new Mac Mini is really truly a great computer by all accounts. Even its base model is fantastic, but it's the i5 6-core version is fantastically powerful. It's really good for just about anybody. The only ones that may shy away from that and make the big step up to a MacBook Pro or an iMac are people needing to do really heavy-duty graphics stuff. The Mac Mini doesn't have a hardcore graphics adapter, but it's still powerful enough to plug in, I believe, 3 4K monitors. So you can have 3 4K monitors plugged into a Mac Mini now. That's kind of mind-boggling.
And why would you want 3 monitors for something like that?
One scenario I can think of is maybe you have one monitor in booth, and then you have dual monitors at your desk. Now, dual 4K monitors is a ridiculous amount of real estate to have available to you, but you know, you get accustomed to something, you get spoiled, and now, now you say you couldn't live without it, right? So that could be something some people can't live without. Yeah. But
so it was a great year for tech in what you're saying then.
Yeah, I mean the new iPhone. I didn't think that the new iPhone was all that exciting. It's just another iteration of what they're already doing. I do love my new my Android LG G7 phone. That thing blows my mind with the picture quality of the camera. And other than Project Fi, now called Google Fi, being kind of a mixed bag, it's getting better. It's becoming more usable for me. It's getting more reliable now that Google has graduated it from a project to an actual product. So that's cool. And lastly, I would say the only thing that really is totally not new is room acoustics. I haven't seen anything innovative that's changed the way we deal with our voiceover booth's acoustics. There are still rules that really can't be broken. Tuning a room is still tuning a room the way we've done all along. There are more companies now than ever making acoustic panels, and there's more products available to us. For example, I did do a studio for Roger Rose, and we ordered all the panels on Amazon Prime and had them in 2 days. That's pretty awesome that you can do that now. But otherwise, good audio still requires a good room, good mic placement. Those rules have not changed yet. So still make sure you pay attention to the basics.
Absolutely. And on that note, that's tech for this week. And we'll be right back with more stuff and your tech questions. Put them in the chat room right now. Jack Daniel is standing by, waiting for your orders here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Don't go away.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Hey, it's almost the new year. Thinking about how to make 2019 different, fresh, and successful? Instead of a new mic, how about a new mindset, a new way of thinking? We all have thoughts like, I'm not good enough to be doing this professionally. I'm just faking it. I need to join the union as soon as I can. I'm too old to get booked. I can't get started until everything is perfect. I hate auditioning because I never book anything. Sound familiar? If only you could change your mindset and get rid of these ridiculous rules. Well, VO to Go-Go's David H. Lawrence XVII has just what you need. He's completed a 21-day journey with nearly 100 voiceover and on-camera talent, just like you, called Believe 2018. And he recorded every single session, meaning you can take this journey now at the pace you want and change things for the better. Get the success you deserve by destroying your limiting beliefs and replacing them with powerful, productive, enabling beliefs. And do so on your own schedule. Here's the link. Go get the 25 hours of video and audio, the daily chat logs, and more, and begin your own journey. The link is votogogo.com/believe. That's votogogo.com/believe. It's ridiculously cheap, and it's ridiculously effective. Once again, it's votogogo.com/believe.
As a voice talent, you have to have a website. But what a hassle getting someone to do it for you. And when they finally do, they break or don't look right on mobile devices. They're not built for marketing and SEO. They're expensive. You have limited or no control. And it takes forever to get one built and go live. So what's the best way to get you online in no time? Go to voiceactorwebsites.com. Like our name implies, voiceactorwebsites.com just does websites for voice actors. We believe in creating fast, mobile-friendly, responsive, highly functional designs that are easy to read and easy to use. You have full control. No need to hire someone every time you want to make a change. And our upfront pricing means you know exactly what your costs are ahead of time. You can get your voiceover website going for as little as $700. So if you want your voice actor website without the hassle of complexity and dealing with too many options, go to voiceactorwebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. George Whittam is in Seattle, Washington at Shauna Pennington Baird's Voice Academy. That's what it's called, right? The Voice Academy. So if you look it up on the internet, it won't say that until they update the website, right? Alrighty. Okay, we know you're there, George. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. We're just waiting for a response. Well,
I didn't. You weren't really throwing to me. You were just saying.
Whatever. Alrighty. So, if you got a tech question, throw it in the chat room. It's been an interesting week working with people all over the fruited plain and in here in LA. People are looking to. I think what I got a lot of this week was I don't want to do it that way. You know, I'm used to going into my agency booth and doing it there. I don't want to be an engineer. I'm talent. I don't know. I have a little bit of a problem with that. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, I spent a career being talent and engineer, and some of the responses were, well, I like to concentrate on doing what I'm supposed to do. But I think you'll probably agree with me, George, that it's a matter of set it, forget it, hit record, and forget about being an engineer. You know, I don't want to, you know, people are like, I don't want to edit. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I just want to perform. But I think the process of editing and learning this technology makes you a much better voice actor because it gives you the ability to fix mistakes and make them sound like they were never mistakes. What do you think?
Well, you know, there's two ways to think about it. I mean, because I come at it from an engineering production standpoint. So I can fake it a lot better because I can comp together 7 takes and make it sound like one smooth take to the listener. The problem with that is that's fine if you do only self-directed voiceover, like if everything you do is just comes to your inbox and you record it at your leisure and you send it off. And if that's all you ever want to do, no problem. You don't have to have a good cold read. You don't have to be able to string together a sentence smoothly, off the cuff, cold read. But as you get better as a voice actor, your cold reads and your ability to read a script and interpret it within the first take or two, that's going to improve. And then you don't have to be such an incredible editor. So that's the problem. Like, you have two learning curves as voice actors. You have the voice acting curve and you have the voiceover production learning curve.
Right.
If you spend too much time on the voiceover production side of the learning curve, your voice acting side is going to suffer.
Right. And,
so it's a delicate balance.
Right. And that's why you hire guys like George and myself, because that's what we do. We can help you understand that it's not rocket science, and that if we can get you set up to set it and forget it and hit record. I think some people get lost because they think it's like, it's a computer. I don't like computers. The best way to really simplify it for yourself is like, it's a cassette recorder. Record, stop, play, rewind. It's just a slightly different variation on that. And if you could do that, that's all you really need to do. Then editing is more like working with, with word processing. So I think it's important that you talk to people that actually know what they're talking about when it comes to recording in a home studio. And that can be a musician, it can be a recording studio engineer, or it could be George or I, because it's a totally unique environment that doesn't exist anywhere else and didn't exist, say, 15 years ago. I mean, some guys had, they had a home studio and they had reel-to-reel tape decks or a Betamax or or what was the other little tape machine, an ADAT, and they would record stuff, put it on reel-to-reels, put it in these envelopes, and send it off FedEx to do promo and stuff like that. One little tiny little area of voiceover, and it's they had nice little studios where they could do that. But now with the technology, with the ability to record at home, it's not that hard. And if you need help doing that, you can talk to George or I. If you want to work with George, where do they go?
That was the longest build to a plug ever.
I know.
You can find me at georgethetech.com, where you can hire me by the hour, by the 15-minute chunk, or the flat rate, depending on what you need. If you need processing stacks or studio design services, those are flat rate services. It's all right there at georgethetech.com. But since I'm in the tech world here, we like those short, nerdy domains. So people in Seattle, you can find me at georgethe.tech. Maybe that might make more sense to you. Dan, how about yourself? Where do they find you for your brand of tech support?
You go here to homevoiceoverstudio.com. Or actually, no, it's this way, homevoiceoverstudio.com. And you'll find my my specimen collection cup, where you can click on that, and for $25 I will analyze your audio, and we'll see if it's up to snuff, if it's sounding the way it's supposed to sound like. Whistle. I just love saying that just to drive you nuts. But there's a way it's supposed to sound, and remember, you don't hire you. So if you're trying to achieve a sound that is pleasing to you, you're not cutting it. You're maybe satisfying your own ears, but some guy who's listening on a pair of laptop speakers who's casting that next commercial or big e-learning job is going to go, boy, that's really bassy. Boy, this guy loves the sound of their own voice. It's not the idea. The idea is...
Got some questions.
We got a tech question, so we'll answer those questions.
So far.
All right, and the question is...
First one's from Get Fred's Voice.
Hey, Fred.
My CS 5.5, which basically he is saying is Adobe Audition.
Yeah. CS5, which is the...
Locking up on me.
It's what? Locking up?
Locking up on me. Is there a standard way to track down issues?
Not with 5.
No, I hate to say it, Fred, but it's the problem with using legacy versions of software like 5.5 is your tech support, is basically, there is none. The Adobe's going to have the standard answer, which is, well, you need to update. And that's unfortunate. You can update to version 6, maybe, CS6, and that may still have current support. I'm not exactly sure. But it's going to be very hard to get support for anything older at this point because Adobe, it's not in their best interest. They don't want to support an 8-10-year-old version of their software. And that's not their business model. The business model is the Creative Cloud now. And so I hate to say it, you're not going to get a lot of help on that. What I would probably do is do a fresh install of your system. Nobody likes to hear that. It's kind of like what I would do is floss.
Nobody likes to do that either.
No, but if you want a clean system that runs the way it did when you installed CS 5.5, guess what? Have a clean system. Clean it, back it up, wipe the drive, reinstall Windows, and reinstall, or Mac or whatever is on there, reinstall it and get a fresh start and reinstall your 5.5. 99% sure that's going to solve the problem. You're going to be back to a clean system. And that's really the only surefire way to fix really odd bugs that just tend to haunt you and possibly get worse over time.
Right. Or bite the bullet and go with CC, with their cloud version, which is really excellent. I mean, it's like, well, I want to use what I want to use as opposed to I want to use what works. I never understand that. But
there's an argument for both.
I suppose.
People, why they use version 3 and even 1.5, I get it. But boy, when things don't go right, you're really on your own. I mean, you can go on the Facebook groups, you can look in chat rooms and look around the net for people that have the same version. There is an Adobe Audition Facebook group that's pretty active. You might check there, but otherwise, you're really on your own when you're not using supported versions.
Absolutely. All right. Did we have another question?
This one comes from our buddy Jack Daniel.
Jack.
Jack says, George, I mentioned the Mac Mini. Yes, I did. I might have to buy a new box soon. I'm assuming he means a new Mac. I use an iMac currently, but I think the Mac Mini is a much better choice. Jack, it really comes down to how in love are you with the 27-inch 5K iMac screen. If you love the 27-inch 5K iMac screen, then buy another iMac. It's going to be as good, if not as good, at least as good as a Mac Mini, depending on how it's spec'd. Right now, the Mac Mini, because it's the newest generation of hardware that they've released, it has the newest generation of parts in it. So currently, the 6-core i5 Mac Mini is probably the fastest Mac this side of the iMac Pro that you're going to find. If you want full-on pedal-to-the-metal performance, then you want to step up to the iMac Pro. That's a starting entry point of about $5,000. So if you really, really are going to be doing a lot of heavy-duty processing and video editing, that's the way to go. But if you like getting some really cool 34-inch super ultra-wide LG curved monitor or something cool like that, instead of your plain Jane 5K 27-inch screen, then maybe get the Mac Mini.
Yeah.
So it depends on what it is you want to have on your desk at the end of the day.
Yeah. Can we get a fleet price on those? I mean, you want a new Mac Mini. I want a new Mac Mini. Sue wants a new Mac Mini.
I have one.
Oh, she already has one. Okay, but
let me put a report out, or put a little APB out on people I know with Mac Mini hookups or Apple hookups, and see what
let's get a price break on it. You know,
we can get a group buy and buy 5 of them. I don't know.
Hey, Shauna has a school. Let's get the student discount. All right.
Shauna wants one. Shauna wants one. So between all of us, you know, we might be able to get a deal.
All righty. Well, speaking of Shauna Pennington Baird, we're going to go over to the Seattle Voice Academy in just a minute after these important messages, including from Source Elements.
In a world of audio, two men knew what they were doing, or at least they have you convinced. They put the BS in VOBS.TV.
Oh, this is where I get to talk about Source Elements. Yay!
Yay!
Source Connect. What can I tell you that you haven't already heard? Source Connect is really a fantastic tool for connecting with studios around the world as a voice actor. If you don't have it in your arsenal, if you've had 5+ years in voiceover and you don't have Source Connect now in your arsenal, you really should consider it. It's going to open you up to a new level of auditioning. If you're at the point where you're seeing that on auditions, must have Source Connect, well, duh. You know, it's definitely time at that point. The good news is you don't have to buy a license. You don't have to buy out the license. If you're the kind of person that wants to own a license, you can do that. You can buy a one-time fee, and now that software will work until someday you must upgrade because of computer upgrades. But if you prefer to have an ongoing expense, a subscription as you were, because it's easier for you to amortize the write-off, or you always want to be up to date with the latest version, you always want to have current support, then you might want to do that. And you can get a Source Connect subscription, about $35 a month ongoingly, and you can have Source Connect in your system. Source Connect Standard is the version you want to look at primarily. Pro is available as well, definitely targeted towards professional recording studios, but the standard version is perfect for voice actors. And in the future, there will be integration with Source Connect Now coming out next year probably. So there's going to be a whole new way for these systems to work together, which is really cool. But if you want to give it a try, go over to source-elements.com. You can get a 15-day free trial, get it up and running, get familiar with it, get your network prepared for it so that the day comes when you need it, you already know how to use it, and you're comfortable with it. Thanks again, Source Elements. They've been backing us up now for almost 3 years on this show, and we really appreciate it. We'll be right back with the whole gang here at the Seattle Voice Academy right after this.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop, our last show of 2018. Whew, boy, it's gone on for a long time. But now it's time for the holiday season. So we thought we'd do something cool and go to somebody else's home studio. Joining us now from Seattle, along with George, is Shauna Pennington Baird, who is owner and creator of the Seattle Voice Academy. Welcome, Shauna. And George.
Thank you very much.
It's great to see you there. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your voiceover career and what took you to what you're doing now.
So yeah, we're up here in Seattle, the home of the tech studios and video game studios. And I fell into voiceover because I had 20 years of theater experience, and I had a kid and did not want to do 8 shows a week anymore, and was at a bar with other actors who happened to be there with a person from Disney who was working with them at the time, and said, hey, do you have a home studio? You should send me a demo reel, which created a phone call to a friend saying, apparently I needed a demo reel for people at Disney. And I just fell down this rabbit hole, training right away, built a home studio with my husband, ended up doing a whole bunch of video games and audiobooks right off the bat. And then became very excited about creating a community in Seattle. And a lot of folks needed a place to record because they weren't able to really build quality studios at home. And that's how this sort of happened. It morphed into classes and then community and then building studios that were super, super affordable. And the studios we could use to teach as well. And that's sort of how the trajectory of the Seattle Voice Academies happened. And we have an online resource page. And I think a lot of it revolved around that. I went to classes in New York, I went to classes in LA, and some of the classes were great, and others I kind of walked out feeling like maybe a lot more was promised than delivered, and I felt like it was the wild, wild west. And so we started making an online resource page of free information that was already out there that people could just find, and they could read on their own, make their own decisions. And we're continuing to keep that updated all the time, because the voiceover world changes like a Twitter feed. So
or an Instagram feed now these days.
Yeah, I mean, we want to do a little bit of online classes and things like that, but to do it right, we had to think about how to make it very, very high quality and how to keep it current. Because you can do online learning, but if you don't update it every 2 months, it's not worth its salt. So our big push to do online learning was to make sure we had a team in place to update it every 2 months.
Excellent. And of course, you've been sending people to watch our show because we know you're watching the show all the time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I became a donor of your program, I don't know, 4 years ago, somewhere in there.
Something like that, yeah. Well, we really appreciate
her name wrong every single month.
Every single week.
How did your name end up being Shauna?
Oh, my mom. Well, she named me after Shana Alexander, S-H-A-N-A,
right.
And then called me Shauna. Right? And then...
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, and so people call me Shana, Shauna. I answer to all versions. And my aunt every year would give me 5 presents and spell it differently on every single present. And she never got it right. She never got it right. My favorite spelling so far is S-E-A-N-A, Shauna.
S-E-A-N-A.
Yeah,
okay,
Shauna.
okay,
and I've
okay.
also seen... What's the other one? It was a really cool Gaelic spelling, a Gaelic spelling of it. But at any rate, yeah, it's Shauna.
Thank you.
But,
we'll get it right from now on.
So it sounds like you've been doing voiceover for a while, and I think it's great that you decided that you wanted to create an open resource for people and be able to do it. What went into starting a school and getting all those classes going?
I wanted to take cool classes. And so in order to get those cool classes, we really reached out to our references and brought people in to teach. And I wanted to be able to take classes with more people than just are in Seattle. Worked with a handful of coaches here in Seattle, worked with a few people down in LA. Eventually Bob Bergen was able to come up a couple years ago. Dave Fenoy was up this year. And I've just started to learn more about like the voice studio in Las Vegas and also the one in, I think it's Voice Tracks in San Francisco. It's interesting how they're very similar, and they're able to also bring in those guests. So it's been really nice to bring people from the outside up here to Seattle.
Right.
And it's also important to me that the people we have on faculty, on staff here, we teach each other. It's one of those places where we're constantly learning from each other as much as possible. And all of us on staff here are working talent. So currently, I did something for, there's a fitness app that it was 4,000 files last year. This year it's only 600 files. This comes from being in Seattle with all these startups.
Right.
A lot of stuff from Microsoft. I would say the bulk of the work I do is Microsoft or e-learning. Every once in a while, promo will fall on us here, and I'll also fall on me. And there's been enough work here in Seattle that I hadn't really reached out too far. But at this point, with Source Connect and all the other ways, and we want to get a much, much better internet here. I'm really glad the show's going okay tonight because our internet here is spotty. But once we get that shored up, then I really want to reach out to some of the studios in LA.
Yeah. So what kind of classes do you offer there?
So a lot of it's beginning voiceover for the people that call and say, I've heard that I have the best voice. And that's where they're starting.
How many times have we heard that one, George?
Yeah. So we're starting from scratch. Basically, it doesn't have a lot to do with your voice. We definitely tell the people we teach voice acting. We don't say, oh, we do voice work. No, we call it acting. Everyone on staff's an actor. All of us have acting training. And so we tend to, the beginning class is it's a class a little bit about everything. So we do the Wild West speech, which is protect yourself. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Yeah.
And then from there, we go into commercial work. We go into video game work. We go into promo. We'll do a little bit on medical narration. And we basically say to people, you're going to need to be very, very good you need to get coaching beyond this class. We do a little bit on home studios, nowhere near enough. They just know just barely enough.
Just tell them to watch our show. That's
what
all
you
they
like to do, because that's where you should go. And then you need a tremendous amount of coaching and training to become very good at that. Don't try to be all things. The VO2 class gets a lot more into specifics. And then after that, we typically recommend private coaching. For the people that want to dive into audiobooks, we have special classes on that and the organization, the acting it takes to really do a great job with audiobooks.
Yeah.
But then we have some specialty classes. But for the most part, we're just helping people who are brand new make great choices as they move into the career. That's important to us.
I would hope so. How many students do you have there now?
Oh, geez. Well, it's been 4 years. I haven't added it up in a long time. I know we've taught over 200 workshops. And we have tiny classes, though. They can't be more than 12 people because our classroom is small, but B, it's very important to us that people are on the mic.
Yeah.
They need to hear themselves. And we have all different kinds of mics. It's important for them to hear themselves on everything from we have a blue snowball. I don't like to set it up except for kids camp, because the snowball is the worst thing ever. But we have Yetis, and then we have, the CAD E100, and then we have the Shure SMBA, and we have the Sennheiser. We set them all up and let people hear themselves on different mics, which hopefully starts to lead them toward, hopefully they think about their space first. We still get, and I had 2 emails today saying, what mic should I buy? And I literally have an answer I just send now, which is, that's not the question to ask. Where are you recording? How are you treating your space?
That's the question to ask.
And I think I got that from you guys. So, I mean, we literally have a version here. And then you can come test mics, better yet, test them in your space, because you got that puzzle. Your voice, what are you doing? Your space.
Do you have a program where you let your students borrow a couple mics?
We have, well, not for any money. People have definitely borrowed mics. And they bring them back. They've been great about that. But we like to do, sort of like with the mic shootouts, once we know how quiet their room is, they can come in here and test quite a bit. But I would not be opposed to that as we keep collecting more mics. So
it's a studio. You're supposed to. It's part of the job. They're all write-off.
But I think testing is more important than making a wild guess. But when they ask me, well, which mic's right for my voice? Well, first of all, I'm not an engineer. I'm a performer who knows just enough to be dangerous, and I'm really good at button mashing on that side of the glass. But I don't have a great recommendation. That's where I was like, let's work with one sound person.
Yeah.
Not 4. They'll all be right. So choose one.
Yeah, everybody has their own way of doing things, which I think it's important for voice actors to understand that there's no one specific way of doing things, as long as you get the right result at the other end. And, and everybody has a different way of going there, and people have different workflows. So, if you've got different people showing people different ways, you'll find what the best way is.
Right.
If you're just joining us here on VoiceOver Body Shop, our guest is Shauna Pennington Baird up in Seattle, Washington, and she is owner and co-creator of the Seattle Voice Academy. And if you've got a question for her, throw it in the chat room. I'm sure you all have lots of questions for how she got this thing started, and maybe you could try and do this in your own town if you've got a lot of experience in voiceover and have access to a studio or want to build one, that sort of thing. So put those questions in there right now. George, what do you think about that facility so far? Because we'll take a little tour in a bit, but
yeah, we'll do that after the break maybe. When I was pulling up, I was driving through. It's what do you call this neighborhood?
So Georgetown. We're Soto, Georgetown. Very industrial.
Yeah, it's very industrial.
Aptly named.
You hear the aircraft approaching the airport.
Yeah, we're under the flight path for King County Airport. It's awesome, with a tin roof.
Right. So you're thinking, it's not the airport. It's not SeaTac.
No,
it's a smaller airport. One. Yeah. So you're thinking, oh boy, how's that going to work out? But honestly, I'll tell you, once I got into the ISO booths in the space, and saw the extent to which they went to isolate them from the outside. Their studio is in the pretty much the centermost part of the building. It's well protected from the rest of the building. And they really did a good job of keeping these booths isolated from the outside noise. I mean, you were telling me earlier, Blue Angels?
The Blue Angels, so yeah, the F-16s.
Do they
take
practice
off
here?
Well, it's every year for SeaTac, or not SeaTac, the big Seafair. They fly. And so they will take off and land at King County Airport.
Really?
And I remember thinking, we're going to have to close that day.
Yeah,
we can't have anything happening.
Yeah.
And Jody Rothfield Casting, she casts here in our building the day of we were recording. We had a session going on because I paid no attention. It was in August. And she came running in. She opened the door. She's like, oh, it's ruined. We're done for the day. And we turned and went, what? We don't know what's happening. We didn't hear the Blue Angels. So it's also pouring rain. So in the classroom where people are listening right now, we can hear the rain.
Right.
It's coming down in sheets. But in here, we don't hear it. So
yeah. So they did, obviously, your husband is he's a prop designer? No, he's a stage
He's a stage carpenter.
Stage
His official title. So he worked at the Seattle Children's Theater for 15 years and then moved over to the Fifth Avenue Musical Theater. So when he built this studio, he was still at Children's Theater. And he did a whole bunch of research. What happened was I went to that bar and I got the idea I should have a demo reel and took a couple classes, did the demo reel. The commercial one probably a hair too soon, but the other was I had samples ready and boom, I got a 9-hour book. And then I got 33 offers for more books, which was too many, which told me a lot about ACX and told me a lot about the quality of samples maybe on that website. So, but the first book, my husband said, you cannot record. And he's like, no. He literally went downstairs that weekend, gutted our closet under the stairs, read all about it, and built a really nice studio for me at home. It's still where I prefer to record. I mean, I love it in here too, but I love it in there. It's my own padded room.
Where did he draw a lot of his, I mean, just because you're a contractor or, really good at building doesn't mean you're going to stumble on building a good space. Where did he go for his information?
Brendan Hogan's local here, Brendan S. Hogan. I know he was on, there's 2 Brendan Hogans in Seattle. They're both sound designers. So I know both of them. So I know he was on both of their sites. I know he went, and we'd have to ask him. I just remember when my husband decides to do something, he's very, very good at doing it and doing a lot of research. So my panels at home, it's a lot of acoustic foam. The stuff behind us is now the big panels. And so he'd read a lot more about panels. He isolated the floor, the rubber underneath it. He added soundboard and then green glue and then soundboard. And so really solid. Like I'm at home, the dogs, I can't hear the dogs. People can mow the lawn outside. Maddie's voice can come through because she's got that 8-year-old sound, and I can hear her walking down the stairs. So I can go, what do you need?
Stairs are tough. Stairs are tough.
But other than that, he basically just did a whole lot of research and then tested. And these studios, he did everything from the glass. We had the glass donated for the booth, glass. And because I was going to buy it, and they said, hey, we've got some that's scratched up. Would you like it for free? Yes, please. And so he did the angled glass. I mean, I don't even know all of the work he did to make sure.
Yeah.
And everything's crazy corners in here. Nothing's a straight wall. Nothing's a straight line.
Right now, we're in arguably the livest part of this room because it was the most spacious. So we have, to my left, a door and a piece of glass. So we're getting a little bit of the bounce off of those things right now. But the other half of the room is totally dead. And that's where the majority of the recording is going to happen in this space. So, we'll show you around because I think there's some really interesting, innovative, I think, rigging ideas for how to mount mics, copy stands, and everything else. They have very few things that clutter the floor in these spaces. So we'll check it out later.
All right. Excellent. Well, we'll take a little break, and then you can set up for taking that little tour, and we'll find out more about the Seattle Voice Academy with Shauna Pennington Baird and George Whittam in Seattle. We'll be right back after this message.
Well, hello there. I bet you weren't expecting to hear some big-voiced announcer guy on your new orientation training for Snapchat, were you?
This is Virgin Radio. Well, okay, we're not that innocent.
There's jeans for wearing and there's jeans for working. Dickies, because I ain't here to look pretty.
She's a champion of progressive values, a leader for California, and a voice for America.
It's smart. It's a phone. It's a smartphone. But it's so much more. The files are ready. Don't forget to pick up the eggs. What time is hockey practice? Check out this song.
It's the end of the road for Rick.
It's just you and me, Rick.
When hope is lost.
The i8 from BMW. Who said saving the planet couldn't be stylish?
Hey, it's J. Michael Collins. Bet you think I'm going to try and sell you a demo now, huh? I think they speak for themselves. But I will give you my email. It's jmichael@jmcvoiceover.com. Now, if Dan will stop waxing his mustache for a minute, we'll get back to the show.
All righty. Harlan Hogan said when he ordered their just-arrived shipment of their acclaimed voiceover microphone, trade tariffs had not yet been implemented. We and you lucked out, and there's no doubt about it, because he now has in stock a whole bunch of these guys. the Harlan Hogan VO1A voiceover optimized microphone that George and I use here on the set of VOBS in our host studio. It's a great microphone. It's designed specifically for voiceover, and at a great price point, and there was a big backlog on them because he had trouble getting a bunch of them produced. Well, now they've all arrived, and if you want one for Christmas, or you want to get one for your spouse for Christmas, if your spouse happens to be watching VoiceOver Body Shop at this time, now's the time to get one of these great voiceover microphones at a great price point. Check it out. Go over to voiceoveressentials.com, where you can get all sorts of cool stuff for your voiceover studio. If you need it, he probably has it. And if he doesn't have it, you probably don't need it. But go on over there, because you can do all sorts of cool things with the microphone, like put your call letters on there. VOBS with our picture of Pat Sweeney, who is recovering well in Toronto. We hope to hear from you soon, Pat. But the VO1A, great voiceover microphone, great price. Go over there now, voiceoveressentials.com. Go to the bottom of our homepage. Click on that link with the picture of Harlan Hogan talking into a VO1A microphone in his Portabooth Pro, and it will take you right there where you can order that and all sorts of great stuff for voiceover. Thanks for being our sponsor for almost 8 years. We'll be right back with George and Shauna in Seattle right after this.
Hey guys, this is Tom, also known as the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, and you want to fill your ear holes and your eye holes with Dan and George and the Audio Body Shop. Ah! Meow! Snails like it too.
All right, we're back, and you ready to do your tour there, George?
Well, I've got the camera up here. Let's see if we can get this camera to show up on your end, because I'm not sure if there is a way for me to confirm that on this end. I think let's see. We have this webcam going. Let me just try a little sleight of hand here. It's definitely working. Let me see if I can make this the primary camera.
Okay. It looks like it.
And make it bigger again.
Oh.
And there you go.
Okay.
I think it's working.
All right. Well, it's frozen right now, but
okay.
Okay. George is now trying to move about the Seattle Voice Academy with his mobile phone. This usually works. Is it still frozen there?
It's really all about Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
All right. Everybody who's in the studio there now, right now, you have to move your arms to direct the signal properly towards George's phone to make sure that's working right.
Let's see. Are we getting anything?
Nothing. All black.
Okay. Okay. Let's try going to 3G or 4G LTE. Okay, now we're on LTE. Is that better or worse?
There's nothing.
There's nothing so far.
All right. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles when you're talking about. It's the way the cookie crumbles. Whenever we try.
Whenever we try. Now is it working now? There we go. Okay, now it's working.
Awesome. All right, first we'll start in here. This is the room in which we're actually doing the show. We have our fancy ring light that's putting light on us tonight.
A little halo on you there.
Yeah, but the primary thing I wanted to show you was some of the really nicely designed aspects of the studio. Let me switch mics here so that we're only going to be hearing me through the primary mic. Okay, for now anyway. Really nicely designed panels on the walls in this room. Like we've got everything's done in Owens Corning 703. There's not a lick of foam in here. They're all offset off the wall. So actually behind the panel, you can't see, but the Owens Corning is offset. So it's out here from the wall. There's an air gap in behind. So that gets more performance, bang for the buck out of your panels. So that's a nice touch. They said that recently they added the ceiling clouds. And it's called a cloud because it's floating off the ceiling, not actually flush to the ceiling. And that is very effective at controlling reflection off the ceiling as well as low end sort of bass frequency stuff. So that's a good design. Back in this corner in this room is a little cubby where voice actors can bring, and normally this tray table where I'm set up is back there. Voice actors can bring their own laptop and their own mic and have their own little kind of corner for them to do self-records. So they can use whatever they've got and they have a nice quiet space to record themselves, which I think is a really nice alternative service.
There's a nice SM7B.
Yeah, right in front of me is an SM7B. The mic we're using tonight is this 416.
Yay.
And the reason you're hearing a little bit of bounce is because we're sitting in this side of the room with a window here and a door over there. But if the mic is brought back into the dead zone, it sounds really dead. It sounds really great. Another cool thing, I'm going to switch to this mic. Awesome. Now you should be hearing me from the mic on my phone. Does that sound okay?
That's working.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds fine.
Very clever things. They've got like these pipes mounted to the walls, which I think is a really clever thing. It's probably very common in theater to use pipe for lighting and everything. So he put pipe all over the place to mount all sorts of devices, like this mount that holds tablets is mounted on the pipe. The microphone rig over there that we're using, that's a Manfrotto, some kind of a Manfrotto arm that can be repositioned by just releasing the clamp and then retightening it again with just a click. Really cool. The copy stand also mounted to the pipe. So the only thing in this room that's cluttering it is really my fault because I have, chairs and the tray in the middle of the room. But normally there's very few things to clutter the room on the floor because everything's mounted to the walls. Really cool. I love that. Really cool. All right, let's take a walk out of the large live room, go through the airlock, and now we're in the control room. How's it coming across now, guys?
We got you. You're coming in good, Neil.
So this is all right. This is the control room, and they have a. Let me take a look at that. It is the Focusrite. I think that's the 18i20, I believe. Yeah, that's what that is. The Scarlett interface. Very good quality. It's got enough mic inputs that they can have multiple things going on at the same time. They've got an iMac 21-inch running the show over here with a second monitor attached to it. And then we have the solo or the small booth where they've got, right now it looks like a Rode NT1A, Rode NT1A. And more of that clever rigging. So this is a really good example of how that rigging declutters your studio. Look at the floor. The only thing on the floor is a couple wires from the mics and the headphones. That's it. No stands to trip on, no booms falling over. Everything is suspended from the wall on pipe. I love it. I think it's really clever. This room has another cool trick up its sleeve that Shauna showed me earlier. If you really want to completely make the room dead and get rid of the window, check this out. You release this panel on the wall, and it hinges over the door.
Cool.
Is that cool or what? Yeah.
Very cool.
I thought that was really clever. I wanted that to be seen because I want, there's some really clever solutions in this room, in this studio, this being one of them. I would have just said, just hang a curtain over the door, you're done. But no, he thought of an innovative way of doing it so that you can really make a super dry, dead room. What does it sound like over Zoom? Does it sound really dry and dead?
It sounds pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and lastly, let's go out of the control room and show you the classroom where people are watching and listening to the show right now. So I'm going to have to turn off the monitors out here when I walk out, or we're going to have echo. There we go.
Oh.
Quick on the draw. Way to go, Shauna. This is everybody. This is the teaching space. You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Dean T. Moody.
Hey, Dean.
From here.
Hey, Dean. Nice to see you.
Also Seattle.
Gus Farrer from Burlington, Washington.
All right. And
Joshua Richardson from Seattle.
right on, you guys. Really appreciate you braving the storm, although this is, what, a day in Seattle. So.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. But this is a nice space, and there's a big screen that we're watching the show on out here. This is always the fun part, when we can show ourselves on camera live, just with enough delay that we can watch ourselves. So there you have it. So that's the space. It's a really very usable and very quiet inside the booth, and I'm really impressed with what they did with a minimal amount of financial resources up front. Just a lot of smarts and a lot of research.
Excellent. Well, we got a couple of questions for Shauna from our audience. Is she up to answering some of them?
Let me ask her, because I made her turn off the studio monitors. You have your monitors turned back up? Now can you hear us now? We're going to bring them up. We're going to have you come on in.
Or just do it from out there in the studio, out in the classroom.
No, the echo is so hard to deal with. We'll just have her come in here. All right, so let's switch cameras here. I'll cut this mic.
Okay.
This is quite the dance required to switch.
But it's working. It's working.
Okay, cool.
All right. We got a question from Tammy J. Anderson, who says, what is a lightweight studio option to put on a fifth wheels toy hauler? Actually, this is a question for us. It would be used for months at a time. For your information, it's a fifth wheel camper with that has a toy hauler, which is a small garage in the back of it. Yeah, and he put a picture on there. It's like this big trailer. And George, it's like, we know other people that have done that kind of stuff. Who is it that lives in the trailer and was? We had her on the show too.
Karen Saltis?
Might have been her, and there was a couple of people who go on the road in their Airstreams and various other things, and they can do that kind of stuff.
You know what? It's the hardest thing by a long shot is always going to be soundproofing.
Yeah,
isolating that space from the outside world.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it while you're actually going down the road. That might be a little different.
Not a chance. A lightweight booth is not soundproof. Let's get that clear. Like, if you're going to put something in there that's lightweight, it is not going to stop much noise at all. So if the thing's got wheels, so you're going to have to drag it away from a freeway down a country road and find somewhere quiet to record, even if you do put a booth inside your trailer.
Right.
That said, you could get a whisper room. They're heavy, but certainly not nearly as heavy as a side-by-side or whatever toy you're going to haul around in that thing. So you could put a whisper room type booth in there.
Yeah.
You may not find it worth it, though, because it's still not going to be totally soundproof. You might just want to hang acoustical treatment in there, make a padded room in the back with
there's a picture of it.
There you go. Check that out.
Yeah.
That is a legit toy hauler. That thing's got a fifth wheel. That thing is a monster. Look at that thing. I'm jealous.
Yeah. Well, Devox adds on to that. He says he would love to see a show on equipping alternative spaces for voiceover studios, campers, tool sheds, basements, shipping containers, etc. And I came up with, well, we'd call it Tiny Studio Nation.
I love it.
All right.
Tiny Studio Nation.
Yeah. Gets Fred Voice has a question for Shauna. He asks, did she roll right into the school, or did she start out with a meetup or a workout group?
Combination. So I worked with coaches. I mean, I had a lot of coaching before teaching. Years. No, I didn't start teaching right away. That would have not been cool. So I worked with several local coaches extensively. And then I started working out with Larry Hudson's group. So wait, how long was that? That was 4.5 years ago. I mean, I was probably working out with Larry Hudson's. I mean, I was definitely fast tracked. So when I fell into it, I fell into the book, got a video game right away, ended up with an agent about 5 months in, local agent. And so did not book with that agent for a year because I'm older than I look and sound. So I don't sound 50. I don't sound 40. When they finally put me out for 20-year-olds, that was helpful. But I probably did workouts and coaches for a solid 2 to 3 years. And even then I was very reluctant I was a reluctant teacher, and I teach singing, and I'm very comfortable teaching singing, so that was great. So when the studio started up, I did a lot more teaching of studios. I was teaching of singing students, and we have other people on faculty, and so other folks have been teaching all along as well. So it's never been just me. I was definitely the administrative glue. So I was the one doing the website, and I was the one creating which system was going to work, and how could we book private students online and not have to pick up the phone all the time. That was my job.
Janitor, chief, bottle washer,
yes.
as they say.
And then as I started doing more e-learning, they were like, yeah, you should work with this person on e-learning. And I was like, And I think it helps that I've taught for years. So I taught with Missoula Children's Theater, and I taught kids ages 5 to 19 for years, and ran theater companies and ran performing arts center camps. So that stuff came naturally. The first class of adults, I was like, it was different. And I remember saying to them, I have an inner chipmunk. She gets very, very excited, and I'm going to talk really fast when I get really excited, or you just might need to slow me down. And so when we get to like animation stuff, that just works out great. But if we're working on audiobook stuff, I have to dial it back and talk to adults. But I don't entirely. I still have that little Muppet. So I hope that answered your question. So no, I did not start. I did not. I definitely worked with a lot of people ahead of time. And then I don't stop coaching now. Like I still work with coaches. I will be going to classes till I'm 90 to learn more stuff, because the learning curve for me, because I was an actor, right? So I was going to rock this. This was going to be easy. I have 20 years of acting. So I was awesome for like a day or two. And then I fell all the way down here. And I've been climbing back up ever since. Because I then realized...
That is a common story, I have to say. It is.
Because that first audiobook, I could almost talk out loud by like chapter 4. And by chapter 8, there might have been some connection. And then by book 6, I was a narrator. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Larry Hudson is in the house. He has a question. He says, what's the number one misconception you see people come in with as a newbie?
Oh, that it's all about their voice. That it has anything to do with the voice.
Don't I have a great voice?
Yeah. Because I think the roughest time I've witnessed are the people that came in listening to their voices for so many years. I'm one of them, by the way. They listen to their voice and they can't connect with the script because they're way too busy hearing the sound of their voice. So they're not connected, and they're trying to do it all technically, and they're not in the story.
Yeah.
And so it's always interesting when a student comes in and they have 20 years in radio, or a pastor, someone who's been, or sometimes actors. Actors tend to take direction better because we've been schooled in how to take direction.
Right.
But you give them a note, and it just doesn't even go in. Doesn't go in at all. So if I see the 4th or 5th note not go in, then I think, okay, there's probably a better way to work with this person. And sometimes by week 6, I've been able to change the nature of how I give the note, because that's on the teacher. And the same way that I think newbies, they don't know how much work it's going to be. I mean, why shouldn't it be easy? And I think half the blogs out there say it really well. They say, if this were easy, everybody would be doing it well. It's not.
Right.
This is like learning to play a piano concerto. You cannot step up and play Tchaikovsky your first day at the piano. You got to learn chopsticks. You got to learn finger placement. And when it comes to something like one of my favorite people, and I have not met him, so I'm going to say his name wrong, but Dave Pettit has the ability to take a script in 5 or 6 words and just nail all the little nuances. So I tend to use his name like a verb. So if anyone knows David, you can tell him that. So I'm like, you gotta Dave Pettit that. You need to like get into all the stuff, all the good stuff that you're missing. So beginners miss all the good stuff. And there's a coach, Clem Daniels here in Seattle, and he said that to me, and I love that. Beginners miss all the good stuff, and the advanced people find it.
All righty. Jack Daniel asks, Shauna, other intrepid souls like you might want to start a school like yours in other cities. Do you have any must-dos or must-not-dos you've learned in getting your school running?
Be ethical. Be super ethical. Be really honest. And that doesn't mean soul-crushing. But I think I went to a couple workshops where they're like, hey, for $10,000, you are guaranteed a demo reel, and we'll hold your hand, and you'll make $1 million as an expat. That's sort of why we exist. Because I got so mad. Because I was in the room with 20 people, and about 19 of them needed a whole lot of training. And a couple people could read out loud. So I think if you're going to help people explore voiceover, they need They need to know about self-direction. They need to know to look for all the sharks in the entertainment world right now. If something doesn't feel right, it's not. So that's where we're based in that world. And then don't make promises. And that's really tricky, right? Because there's a great example. A guy came to us and he's missing half his uvula. And this is like 4 years ago. And I remember thinking, oh, there's no way. And then I stopped. And I talked to my husband too about it. I was like, so he wants to do commercial work. He's missing half his uvula. And so his R's are like, R is missing. So we played, here's what it's going to take to be competitive. Here are the professionals. Here's where you are. He worked hard. He finished his video game demo, has an agent. I don't know the trajectory of his job, of his life right now, but that's where it took him 1.5 years to finish that first demo. So the truth there is, who are we to say, oh, I'm sorry, you shouldn't do voiceover for any reason? The truth is, can you do it? Do you have the guts to give yourself permission to do voiceover? And then can you get enough training that you can stand up there to everybody else and do it really, really well? So I don't like to tell anybody no. Now, if someone comes in and says, I'm ready for a demo, and they're not, then we say no. Because that's taking money and then putting a bad demo on the market and doing a misservice to them. And it's just, it's a combination of things there. And so I think oftentimes we will refer people out to the right people. Because the other thing is, one demo producer shouldn't produce all demos, probably. I'm sure there's someone out there who can, but I think for the most part, certain people are very good at certain demos. So if someone comes in and needs a promo demo, we can't do promo demos here. That's hard. I mean, that's really, really hard. And so we refer immediately. If someone comes in and is interested in an e-learning demo, that's a little different. Yeah. That's what we do here. We do a lot of it. Yeah. So, and then you get to commercial, then you go, is it national? Is it Seattle? Seattle has its own style of demos. For what that's worth, they tend to be a little more chill. There should be big crossfades in them. So
knowing your local market like that,
right?
If someone's local, they should coming to a local studio and learning the local style.
Yeah,
that's
you should
huge.
know the national
that's
style
a good place
too,
to start. Well,
I
mean, if it's starting there is a good place to start. Yeah.
All right. Got one last two-part question from Devox, who's never sure.
That, then we can throw to some of the folks who are here as well.
Absolutely. Devox wondering how that pipe that they set the mics up on is mounted. It looks like it's just screwed into the wall, or
it's screwed in the wall. Totally. He basically bolted it. Those look like bolts.
There's like some sort of a pipe mount.
I can find out.
It's got 2 bolts.
Put on our website.
And the pipe threads into that bracket. It's definitely stuff that's going to be common in the theater rigging world. Like the pipe that's in this system, this isn't welder's pipe. Mm-hmm. These aren't welder's parts.
Right.
These are theatrical bits.
Right.
So if you're in a city that has theater of any kind, you want to talk to the theater builders.
They may have come from Home Depot. There's a chance Home Depot. What I will do.
I'm looking at this and
the theater department at Home Depot.
Well, maybe. Let me go home to Ben. I promise to put it on our website. So if you go if you go to Seattle Voice Academy, it will drop you at this place called Seattle Voice Institute. So go into the resource library, the free resource library, click on Home Studios, and I will list the materials.
Excellent.
That's not hard to do.
All right. One last question on that. How much did you spend on the whole studio, or is that a state secret?
If we skip labor,
because the labor was
my husband. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm adding up money. All of the panels, the fabric all came from Fifth Avenue. Well, okay, we're not going to count equipment, just the build. 200, 400, probably 8,000, maybe.
For 2 ISO booths?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Maybe less.
Materials.
Yes, all materials, no labor.
So take that number and quadruple it for the labor.
Well,
Yeah.
And we have a lot of speakers. I mean, the most of the money we spent on equipment, we bought studio monitors.
Right.
And then we didn't spend a lot on that 18i20. That Scarlett's like $400, $500.
Yeah.
So, and we bought things slowly. It was not all purchased. And we actually did a GoFundMe for people who needed small ISO rooms. So we raised a lot of the money that way.
Oh, cool.
And then got a small loan, like a micro loan. Mm-hmm. So a lot when we finally spent down there, everything spent was probably $13,000, but that's including all the gear.
Cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You guys
Outstanding.
did a lot with a little.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we head out to the main classroom there? There's some questions from your students out there.
Would like to come in.
Sure.
Yeah. Send in anybody who'd like to be in the booth live and in person. So she's out there now grabbing somebody. Yeah, when I look at the pipes, the pipe joins into an elbow and has a set screw that holds it in. That's how you can tell right away this is theatrical stuff, not plumbing stuff. Doesn't mean you couldn't do it with plumbing pipe, but this is theatrical stuff. Come on in.
I will. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Tell me your name again.
Donna.
Donna, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Do you have any technical hang-ups, questions?
Actually, I do. Yeah.
Awesome. We're in the right place.
I've been using OSIN audio, which is a little tricky because there are almost no instructions.
Yeah,
on how
that's
to do
true.
it.
It's made by some students in South America or something.
Brazil
like
is
that.
what I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what I read. Anyway, for weeks, I would edit in OSIN and I would take up breath sounds or put in silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would do that and it would stay silent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I do the playback,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear anything, but the waveform is not a flat line. The waveform is a squiggly line.
Well, that is weird.
I
That is
hate
weird.
it.
Okay.
Right?
But what do you hear?
I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Sounds like a playback issue of some sort, and chances are sometimes it's. Have you tried plugging and unplugging your digital interface?
Oh, no. I've been trying to find things on the OSIN menus. So maybe it is that if it's the digital interface, that should be pretty simple.
That happens. That happens a lot.
What she was saying is that when she silences something using the silence function,
using the silence function,
instead of
right?
a flat line being there, now there's some kind of a wave in its place.
Right. It starts out as a flat line,
Yeah.
right? When I insert it, it's a
Yeah.
flat line.
Yeah.
When I go to play it back,
Yeah.
it doesn't stay a flat line. I don't hear anything there,
You don't hear anything. Okay.
but it's not a flat line.
That sounds like a bug.
That's definitely a bug. We've been getting, with a lot of the OS updates and stuff like that. There's all sorts of weird things are cropping up. So it could be that.
I could just reinstall
Are you
it.
Mac or Windows?
Mac, Windows.
Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you could contact the developers and just send a message and say,
In
I'm having this
Portuguese?
weird thing going on. Well, send them a screenshot and say,
Okay, I can do that.
Trust me, these are geeks. They speak English.
Right.
They will
With the
understand.
Portuguese accent.
Yeah,
Yes.
they will get it. You send them a screenshot and saying, when I do this, this is what I see. Seems to be a bug. I bet they'll want to fix it pretty quickly because it does sound like a bug in that case. Yeah.
Okay,
All
because
right.
it just started.
Did you ever learn any other softwares, or did you just start right
I
out of
had been using Audacity,
Yeah.
and when I learned from Shauna about the punch and roll,
Punch and roll, yeah.
I said, I'm there.
Well,
And
if
so-
you're having continued issues with Ocean,
Yeah.
then get the new Audacity, which does
Right.
now have punch and roll.
That- I understand
and get
that.
familiar with it, and maybe it'll work better. Maybe
Okay.
it'll be something you can use in the meantime, or I don't know. But that sounds weird.
The
doesn't it?
issue the real issue I had with Audacity was I am using a fairly small computer screen, like a 13-inch screen, and on Windows, the cursors are so tiny they are essentially invisible.
Okay.
And the Audacity people said, yes, that's a non-issue.
Oh.
Yep. Use a bigger screen. That's
Well, I know in Windows you should be able to make your cursor larger. You should be able to change the size of it or something like
Right, and I have for everything else, but it doesn't affect the cursor in
that.
Audacity.
You know what the common thread between Audacity is and Ocean Audio?
What?
How much did you pay for them?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
That's right.
That's all for tonight, folks.
The problem with free software is it's awesome, but there's this problem. Or but that problem. But
Right.
I'm not saying it should cost money or it's going to
No.
be good because it costs money. But when you're using open source or freely supported software, getting support is really the big problem that you would run into.
Of course. it
So,
is.
but if that's all you're dealing with, that's the worst problem you have, and you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. Do we have anybody else that has a question there?
Yeah. If there's anybody else that seemed to be past the baton. to
Yeah.
the next,
We got time for one more question, and then we gotta roll out of here.
Alrighty. let's see if anybody else has a question.
Yeah. It's great that now that we've actually got this remote working really well. See, and then I can actually be in your picture here. It's kind of cool.
I think we might have one more. I'm looking through the glass. Oh, Shauna's on her way back in.
All right.
I have a question.
Oh, Shauna.
Okay.
Come
Okay.
on in. This is our last question of the show, so you get to take the last one.
So Izotope,
Yeah.
RX7, the breathing, the breathing or the debriathing. The mouth clicking seems to be working great.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wanted to know if you would create effect stacks
Mhm.
in Izotope RX7.
Yes.
Cool. That's on your website, so we can figure out that.
Yeah, I don't have a specific Izotope preset service for, because the Izotope's a little complicated.
Yeah.
There's an Izotope standalone editor,
Yeah.
which has its own plugin architecture,
Yes.
which I have made a preset for that.
Okay.
But more typically, it becomes a plugin used with Twisted Wave
Mine's
or
with Audition,
Audition
yeah.
or something, and then I just incorporate it in. But yes,
Okay.
that can be done. But you want to use it for debriefing?
Well, is anything actually right now? I still silence. I'm a singer. I'm trying. Someday I'll take silent breaths, but I still go. I'm still this incredibly loud breather,
Right.
and so
But
I have
you
to
don't
go
do it that
in
often.
in an audiobook.
Well, an audiobook, yes,
It's
but
just
you're not
horrifying.
taking deep gasping breaths mid-phrase. For
No,
example.
Ooh, not often.
Yeah.
But do I still need to go in there and reduce those breaths manually?
Not in an audiobook.
Not as
You
long as
think
it's not
so?
too much scraping. The editors I've worked with
Yeah.
mostly leave most of it in, or they
Yeah.
just reduce it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of that may be mic placement and things like that. But I looked at that debreather and I played with it, and I had disastrous results.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing about a piece of technology like that is it's got to be set perfectly,
Right.
in order for it to work properly.
I
So-
think with a debreather, if your breaths are too strong,
Yeah.
it can't really differentiate that powerful breath sound
Mhm.
from something intentional.
Right.
So if your breaths are on the softer side, I think the debreather may work. But those
Mm-hmm.
large gasping breaths, you're still probably going to be stuck going through and reducing their volume individually.
Okay.
I don't think they're-
Yeah, about 15 dB makes it sound a lot more natural.
Yeah,
That's what I
12,
just
15
create
dB.
hotkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
Excellent.
the shortcut for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, Shauna, thank you so much for letting us invade your studio tonight. And
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
This has been
Thank you.
This has been a total blast, and I'm so glad that we were able to get a few people in to hang out with us. It's been really fun.
excellent. All righty. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, we got to say goodbye right after this, and then we won't see you for a while, but we will be back. But we will be back right after these messages, so stay tuned.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. Now there's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, casting, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports and get 14 bonus reports on how to ace the voiceover audition. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
All righty. Well, that was fun. It's a pretty successful remote this time from a studio from far away.
There's a lot of technical things that happen, but at the end of the day, you got to have solid internet.
Right.
And it's not a given, even in today's day and age, even in the city of Seattle. It's not necessarily a given.
That's right. Anyway.
Our resources.
Yeah. Well, it's the holiday season, and as we've mentioned, next Monday is Christmas Eve. The following Monday is New Year's Eve. So those are Mondays when you want to spend with your family. So we want to spend them with our families too. And so we're going to take the next 2 weeks off, meaning we will not return with this show until January 7th with a new format that you're going to really like, that's going to really improve your experience with our show and help you more technically. And we want to bring in some big-time voice people, especially, some of the big talents, but also some of the big agents and the casting people and the people that can really help you with your voiceover business. And saying that, our first guest of 2019 will be Tara Strong. So Harley Quinn and all the characters that she brings to life will be joining us here at VoiceOver Body Shop, and that's on January 7th. Then on January 21st, Larry Davis will be with us, he's a fascinating voice actor and a very entertaining guy who really is a master of ad-libbing stuff and just let yourself go. That'll be good.
Ad-libbing and voice matching.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are our donors of the week?
Donors of the week?
Yeah, remember those?
You're going to ask me that question. I'll tell you in just a sec after I open my proper email box that has all the donors. But if you give me a sec, I'll be right back with that.
All right, while you're looking that up, I'll tell people you got to get on our mailing list, and you'll get all of the updates on the show. And as we start the new format, you'll get more instructions on how to watch some of the different stuff that we're going to be tossing out there in 2019. Also, show us your booths. I'm not sure whose living room this is, but nicely decorated for the holidays. But we want to see what your home studio booths look like. So send them in landscape, not in portrait, so we can get the lay of the land of your studio, and maybe we'll highlight it on the show. So have we got our donors down?
We do. We have, you may know some of these names.
I probably do.
Tracy H. Reynolds.
Yeah.
Andrew Kaufman. Eric Aragoni. These are names that I'm reading every week, and we really, really appreciate that. Sarah Borges, she's one of our monthly subscribers. Michelle Blenker.
All right, Michelle, great to hear from you.
Yeah, and Antland Productions, Uncle Roy.
Antland Productions. I got my Antland Productions shirt on.
Hey. Our buddy Roy.
All right.
Brian Roush. Graham Spicer. Thanks, Graham.
All right.
Jack DeGolia. Not done yet. Joseph Harrison. These are all those are all people that donate on a recurring basis. So you don't have to do that. You can make a single donation if there's a topic or a guest on that you particularly find helpful. You can send a little bit of money, let us know that way. Or just watch the show and enjoy it. Just make sure you tell your friends, repost, that kind of thing will really help us get the word out. So we appreciate it.
All right. Let's see. What else? Your Instagram is at George the Tech.
Yes.
All right.
That is my Instagram. Occasionally I'll post techie type things, pictures of studios I'm working on, that kind of stuff.
All right. Now, beginning in January, all right, we still have to push that. All right, go back to that. Okay. If you want to work with George, you go to georgethetech.com.
Yes.
Okay. And if you'd like to work with me, you go to homevoiceoverstudio.com. Makes it simple. Now, starting January 7th, a program note, we will start the show now at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is now 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
So right after dinner, if you're one of those late eaters, you can watch the show then. Hopefully, this will get us help us with some of the better guests that we can get here in L.A. so they can go home for dinner, and so it might make the show a little more interesting. And we want to change things up. So on January 7th, we will begin at 5 p.m. So tell
right out of
everybody.
the gate with Tara.
That's right. Hey, if you want to be in our studio, all you got to do is write to us, theguys@vobs.tv, and say audience and what day you want to be here. And if we're doing a show that night, because we're going to go on every other week starting in January, so we'll be on the 7th, the 21st, and then you do the math. But let us know that if you're in the greater Los Angeles area, if you want to come down and check the show out, go do it. We need, of course, to thank our sponsors like Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VO2GoGo,
VoiceActorWebsites.com,
J. Michael Collins Demos.
All right. And, of course, the Dan and Marcy Leonard Foundation for the betterment of live webcasting. Our producer, Catherine Curridon, for doing a stellar job of lining things up, and all the great work that she's done all the years she's been working with us. Jack Daniel on chat room duty tonight and on YouTube, and our amazing technical director who just has it down, Pat Sumerlino. And, of course, Lee Penny for being Lee Penny. Well, that's going to do it for us for 2018. Let us know what you want to see on the show. Write to us at theguys@vobs.tv, and we'll see you in the new year. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks, George, for joining us all the way from Seattle.
You might see me from here again in the future.
I'm
Very
sure.
good chance of that happening.
All right. Excellent. Well, that's going to do it for us. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and whatever else you celebrate this time of year. I'm Dan Leonard.
I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop,
or VOBS. And remember, if it sounds good,
it is good.
All right. See, I fit that one in there anyway. All right. We'll see you next year, guys.